ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 7 चैप्टर 2 वर्स 43। यथा नलो दारुषु भिन्नय्यते यथा निलो देहगत पृथक् स्थितः यथा नभः सर्वगतं न सज्जते तथा पुमान् सर्वगुणाश्रयः परः। As fire, although situated in wood, is perceived to be different from the wood, as the air, although situated within the mouth and nostrils, is perceived to be separate, and as the sky, although all-pervading, never mixes with anything, so the living entity, although now encaged within the material body, of which it is the source, is separate from it. So the jiva, the atma, is separate from the deha. But we don't feel like that. We don't feel separate. We feel that this body itself is me. Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Person of Godhead, has explained that the material energy and spiritual energy both emanate from him. The material energy is described as Bhinna Prakriti, Me Bhinna Prakriti Rashtadha, the eight separated energies of the Lord. But although the eight gross and subtle material energies, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, are stated to be bhinna, separate from the Lord, actually they are not. As fire appears separate from wood, and as the air flowing through the nostrils and mouth of the body appeared separate from the body, so the Paramatma appears separate from the living being, but is actually separate and not separate simultaneously. This is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to the reactions of karma, the living entity appears separate from the Supreme Person of Godhead, but actually he is very intimately related with the Lord. Consequently, even though we now seem neglected by the Lord, he is actually always alert to our activities. Under all circumstances, therefore, we should simply depend on the supremacy of the Supreme Lord and thus revive our intimate relationship with him. We must depend upon the authority and control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so this statement is important. We must depend upon the authority and control of the Lord. So we depend upon his authority. He is the supreme powerful. He is the super boss. So we just depend on his authority and his control. He has control over everything. So for those surrendered to him, he takes care. He does what is he does the needful, as they say. But this dependency on the authority and control requires faith. Though we know that he is the supreme controller, he is the supreme authority, we don't have so much faith so as to depend on him. We still feel like we are the doers. This is one long-standing disease of the conditioned soul. So, for example, like we are thinking that we are earning money, right? But actually, we are not earning money. He is giving us money based on our previous karma. And for devotees, he takes special care. Right? Anyas chintayanto maya jana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam pahamyaham. So he takes care of the devotees, of course we know that he's supreme, but still we don't have full faith. We can't depend on him. We somehow still feel dependent on our own abilities. As devotees, we have to come out of this illusion. The world around us, it's very difficult for them to understand, saying that, okay, it's like the other day I was telling in class saying that everything, our karma, everything is predetermined. So somebody came and asked, how is it that we don't have any control over what we are doing? I mean, it's very difficult for people to understand that actually we are just running like puppets. But at least devotees should have this faith, should have the faith in Krishna. Mm, we are just secondary doers. We are being made to do certain things based on our karma, but the authority is the Supreme Lord. We can't get anything, we can't lose anything without His sanction. And for ordinary jivas, it is the sanction of Paramatma, and for devotees, it is the sanction of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So this is one important thing. Now the second thing is this achintya bheda abheda, different but non-different, simultaneously different but non-different. So the energies are separated from the Lord, but yet not separated, because it's all coming from Him. Separated in the sense He's just like not so attached to them. That way is separated. But it's all coming from Him. Separated doesn't mean, and it's all under His control. Right? Prakriti kriyamani gunas ahankar vimura karta. No, what is that? No, mama maya duratyaya. Mameva ye
Yes.
prapadante maya. Yeah. So mama maya duratyaya, but it is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Right. So Maya Dakshena Prakriti, sorry, yeah, that is the word. Maya Dakshena. Krishna is saying Maya Adhyaksha. That Prakriti is under my control, though she is being called as separated energy, but she is under my control, Krishna is saying. So we have to understand that even though it is separate, it's not, it doesn't suddenly didn't become independent. Mm. And even we, Jiva, we are not separate. We are, Tatastha, part and parcel of Krishna, but still we feel that we are separate from the Lord. We feel that we are independent, but that's just our illusion. So we are totally dependent on Him. And here, Prabhupada is saying that the Lord is actually always alert to our activities. Like, yeah, especially of those of devotees. The activities of non-devotees, yes, Krishna's energies are alert. But not necessarily Krishna directly. But for devotees, Krishna directly is alert to our activities. So we should simply depend on Him. Like I kept saying, this requires immense faith. It requires immense faith. I'm very happy that at least few devotees. I've been talking to few devotees over the last few days who are seriously considering, moving into the next stage of life, as in they've earned enough money and now they want to dedicate their life for Krishna, but of course, like they are not sure what to do, how to do, etc. And so I've been talking to a few devotees, and I'm so happy that at least more devotees are considering this. Of course, it's not that everybody is not fortunate, because everybody has financial liabilities, responsibilities, etc., for which they will have to earn at least for some time to come. But there are some fortunate souls who, by dint of their past karma, they have enough money to take care of their material needs, and they don't really have to work. And some of them, after being in the corporate industry and enough of it, so they're talking, saying that, okay, what criteria should we use to exit, etc., etc. So which is good, which is fortunate souls can do that, and others also should eventually endeavor for that, right? But and then what happens? Dependency on the Lord, right? Whatever, how much ever you have, you don't know what the future is going to bring, right? So that requires faith, saying that, okay, whatever comes, Krishna will take care. Mm. So till how long will we keep thinking that we are the doers, we are the maintainers? Mm. And yeah, devotees are concerned about their future. I see that they're worried about their future, and they think they are going to take care of their future. This is an illusion. So we have to be very, very. This is the cornerstone of the bhakti. If we want to go back to Godhead, how can we go back to Godhead if we don't have full faith in Him? So this is very, very foundational. Which is the reason Krishna Prabhupada, when he went to the West, he first spoke about the supreme authority of the Lord, and that we are dependent on Him. And the same thing has to be. We also have to remind ourselves, saying that He is the supreme. We are dependent. We are dependent on Him. Suyagno nanvayam shete mudhayam manushochata yashota teha sanadrishyeta karhichit. Raja continued, "O lamenters, you are all fools. The person named Suyagna, for whom you lament, is still lying before you and has not gone anywhere. And what is the cause for your lamentation? Previously he heard you and replied to you, but now, not finding him, you are lamenting. This is a contradictory behavior, for you have never actually seen the person within the body who heard you and replied. So you have never seen this Atma. We've only been seeing the body, and that body is lying in front of us. And Yamaraja is saying, yeah, so just because he heard and replied to you, and now he is not, you are lamenting. But he never heard or replied to you. And you never seen the person who heard or replied to you. That is Atma. So there is no need for your lamentation. For the body you have always seen is lying here. Okay, so nice. This instruction by Yamaraja in the form of a boy is understandable even for a common man. A common man who considers the body the self is certainly comparable to an animal. Yasyatma buddhi guna petri dhatuke sa eva go kharaha. But even a common man can understand that after death the person is gone. Although the body is still there, a dead man's relatives lament that the person has gone away. For a common man sees the body but cannot see the soul. So Prabhupada is saying that even after death we say, okay, somebody's gone away. Who's gone away? That even a common man knows, but he doesn't think about it. He doesn't think about who is that has gone away. Of course, at that time they might think about it, but in life, in general, in other times they don't think about it. As described in Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yatha dehe, the soul, the proprietor of the body is within. After death, when the breath within the nostrils has stopped, one can understand that the person within the body who was hearing and replying has now gone. Therefore, in effect, the common man concludes that actually the spirit soul was different from the body and has now gone away. Very simple to understand. Common man concludes. Thus, even a common man coming to his senses, this is the important thing, can know that the real person who was within the body and was hearing and replying was never seen. For that which was never seen, what is the need of lamentation? But the important part is to come to our senses. Come to our senses means that just we are in some dream world. We are in some illusion. But when we come to reality, then we understand, okay, I'm not the body. I'm actually Atma. And that Atma is transmigrating, and this is my temporary residence in this life. Yeah, I'm temporarily residing in this body. But I have to make this body, I have to use this body to make sure that I can reach the permanent. That should be the thought process, not to extend the temporary existence, not to make for one more, not to do things in such a way that we have to enter into another temporary existence, meaning another body in the next life. So we need to come to our senses. Nashtrota nanu vaktayam मुख्योऽप्यत्र महानसुः यस्त्विहेन्द्रियवान् आत्मा सचान्यः प्राणदेहयोः. In the body, the most important substance is the life air, but that also is neither the listener nor the speaker. Beyond even the life air, the soul also can do nothing, for the super soul is actually the director in cooperation with the individual soul. So we might think there is body is not important. We might think mind is not important. We might think prana is also not important. We might think atma is also not important as much as this paramatma is important. The super soul conducting the activities of the body is different from the body and living force and the atma also. The Supreme Person of God distinctly says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir gnanam apohanam cha I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Although the Atma or soul is present in every material body, he is not actually the chief person acting through the senses, mind, and so on. The soul can merely act in cooperation with the super soul because it is the super soul who gives him directions to act or not to act, which is depends on the surrender of the jiva. For non-surrendered, it is based on their past karma. For surrendered, it is direct instructions. One cannot act without his sanction, for the super soul is upadrushta and anumanta. Upadrushta is the drushta, is the seer, witness, and anumanta is the permitter or sanctioner. One who studies carefully under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master can understand the real knowledge that the Supreme Lord is actually the conductor of all activities of the individual soul and the controller of their results as well. Of course, this controller means that it is as per the rules of this material world. Although the individual soul possesses the indriyas or senses, he is not actually the proprietor. For the proprietor is super soul, Rishikesha. And the individual soul is advised by the direction of super soul to surrender to him and thus be happy. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam shanam raja. Thus he can become immortal and be transferred to the spiritual kingdom where he will achieve the highest success of an eternal blissful life of knowledge. Actually, this also, do we actually understand this? We have to understand this eternal blissful life. And we should hanker for it. Why want the temporary, miserable life of ignorance in this material world? We should desire for eternal blissful life of knowledge. In conclusion, the individual soul is different from the body, senses, living force, and the airs within the body. And above him is the super soul who gives the individual soul all facilities. The individual soul who renders everything to the super soul lives very happily within the body. He who renders everything, kaya, vacha, manasa. So everything, whatever we have, that is Atmanikshepanam. Chadvida Sharanagati. Atmanikshepa. Offering ourselves and everything we possess to for the pleasure of the Lord. Then we will live happily within the body because then we are not the owners. Then we are not worried about, oh, how am I going to protect this? How am I going to safeguard this? Nothing. Because now everything has been given up to the super soul. Now super soul will take care. Supreme Lord will take care. So we can just live happily within the body without worrying. Oh, is this body going to be protected? Are things are connected with the body going to be protected? We won't be bothered because we are just given control. Relinquished. I mean, relinquished means what? Actually, it is like that only, but that illusion is gone. We are not thinking anymore that we are the maintainers, we are the controllers. So we just come to our right consciousness and then we live happily within the body without tension. No tension is required. Of course, Prabhupada says that it's good to be tensed for Krishna. Otherwise, we'll remain tensed for material life. Yeah, but yeah, so that's also happiness. Being tensed for Krishna is also happiness. Bhutendriya lingan dehanuchavachan vivuhu bhajatyutsrajati hyanyas tachapi svena tejasa. The five material elements, the 10 senses and the mind all combine to form the various parts of the gross and subtle bodies. The living entity comes in contact with his material bodies, whether high or low, and later gives them up by his personal prowess. This strength can be perceived in a living being's personal power to possess different types of bodies. The conditioned soul has knowledge, and if he wants to fully utilize the gross and subtle bodies for his real advancement in life, he can do so. It is therefore said here that by his high intelligence, by the superior power of superior knowledge achieved from the right source, that is the high intelligence, that is the power from the right source, the Guru, the Acharya, he can give up his conditional life in a material body and return home back to Godhead. This is the power that the Jiva has. However, if he wants to keep himself in the darkness of this material world, he can do so. Krishna says, Yanti Deva Vrata Deyavan. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship me will live with me. The human form of body is valuable. One can use this body to go to the higher planetary systems, or to Pitruloka, or he can remain in this lower planetary system. But if one tries, he can also return home back to Godhead. This prowess is given by the Supreme Lord as the Super Soul. Therefore, Lord says, Mattasmritir Gnanam Apohanam cha. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. If one wants to receive real knowledge from the Supreme Lord, one can become free from bondage to repeated acceptance of material bodies. If one takes to the devotional service of the Lord and surrenders unto Him, the Lord is prepared to give one directions by which to return home back to Godhead. Tatami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. But if one foolishly wants to keep himself in darkness, he can continue in a life of material existence. I mean, this is foolishness. And if we want to willingly remain in darkness, utter foolishness. Many people don't even know that they're in darkness. Okay, they're unfortunate. But those who know what is light, what is darkness, but still wanting to remain within darkness are really foolish, because it doesn't make any sense. Because what it does is that makes us continue this life of material existence, which is dukkhalayam, which is full of dukkha. So we have to come to knowledge. And we come to knowledge, we forget knowledge. We come to knowledge, we forget knowledge. So we should remain fixed in knowledge. Yeah. Yavallingan vitohyatma tavat karma nibandhanam tato viparyayah klesho maya yogo nuvartate. As long as the spirit soul is covered by the subtle body consisting of the mind, intelligence, and false ego, he is bound to the results of his fruitive activities. Covered by, is bound. Covered meaning that he has done things such that he has to get a gross and subtle body. And so that means that he is bound. Because of this covering, spirit soul is connected with the material energy and must accordingly suffer material conditions and reversals continually life after life. Again, this suffering is not real, because the supreme spirit soul is connected with the material energy, got attached to material energy, got a gross body, subtle body by his desire, by his karma. That way he suffers by means of the body and mind. But actually the Atma per se is not suffering. The living entity is bound by the subtle body, consisting of the mind, intelligence, and false ego. At the time of death, therefore, the position of the mind becomes the cause for the next body. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajatyante kalevaram. The living entity resists the dictation of the mind and engages the mind in the loving service of the Lord. Mind cannot degrade him. So we have to think about this loving service. We have to think about what people do when they fall in love in the material world. They are ready to do anything for their beloved, isn't it? They take risks, even to the extent of, risk of life, risk everything, because they love that person. So if somebody loves Krishna, then he is ready to do anything for Krishna. His mind is completely absorbed in serving Krishna. Then his mind cannot degrade. Mind will degrade when we are doing just mechanical service to the Lord. If we are doing our service to Krishna mechanically, then the mind will degrade. Because there's no love, there's no sentiment, there is no attachment, there's no absorption. The duty of all human beings, therefore, is to keep the mind always engaged with the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayo. When the mind is engaged with the lotus feet of Krishna, intelligence is purified. This is very important. See, which is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us a very, very practical process. We are all materially engrossed. We want to think in terms of, engagement with this material world. Meaning we are connected with the activities that we are doing in connection with this material world. Eating, sleeping, going out, buying things. So that's how our engagement is today, and the mind is absorbed in those activities. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this process of bhakti, preaching, right, and chanting, and more preaching, because chanting is an internal process. Preaching, which is Kirtanam, then glorifying the Lord, distributing mercy, distributing books, etc. So that the mind becomes engaged, mind cannot directly become engaged at the lotus feet of Krishna directly in terms of dhyana, smaranam, right? So by the practical process of preaching, we can engage our mind in Krishna and then purify our intelligence. And then intelligence gets inspiration from the super soul, Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. And then super soul will direct and the intelligence is purified. So for us to purify our intelligence, Krishna has given us so many ways. For those who are in Sattva Guna, just simply chanting and reading about Krishna is good enough. Those too much in Rajoguna, you should engage in activities connected with Krishna, connected with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching movement. Either way, the intelligence is going to be purified. Thus, the living entity makes progress toward liberation. The individual soul is subject to the laws of fruitive activity, but the super soul is not affected by the fruitive activities of the individual soul. As confirmed in the Vedic Upanishad, the Paramatma and Jivatma were likened to two birds are sitting in the body. The Jivatma is enjoying or suffering by eating the fruits of the bodily activities, but the Paramatma, who is free from such bondage, witnesses and sanctions the activities of the individual soul as the individual soul desires. So this is the key. He sanctions activities based on the desire. So we have to be careful about what we desire. The other day when I was speaking to one devotee and he said that he was in Vrindavan, he was on Govardhan, just doing parikrama sometime. And he said, see, normally I don't pray anything. I don't pray to Krishna for material things. But he was going through some difficult times, so he prayed to Krishna that his salary was very less. So he said he prayed to Govardhan saying that please increase my salary to 25 lakhs. So he made this specific prayer. And what happened? Krishna immediately increased his salary to 25 lakhs. But then he didn't ask anything else beyond that. And it was not ordained for him, actually. And then for 1 year, he struggled further. He got to 25 lakhs, but then for 1 year, he didn't have job. Which means that then the devotee was saying that it's my realization that we should not ask anything because we don't know what is good for us actually. And he said, just leave it to Krishna and Krishna will do the needful. So even if we have some material desires, we don't know whether it is going to be good for us or not good for us. So we might think, okay, by doing this, maybe this is better for me, but we don't know. So the best is to tell, okay, something is coming your way, then just pray to Krishna, saying, Krishna, if you think this is okay, then let this happen. I don't have any attachment to this. If it happens, also it's fine. If it doesn't happen, also it's fine. Especially material things. And spiritual things, of course, if it is again, that is a desire of the Lord. But if it seems like good for spreading the movement, etc., then it's okay. We can desire for those things. And again, but still, we should say, Krishna, if you so will, if you think it's good that it should happen, then let it happen. Right. So that's surrender. Yeah, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
So we can conclude from this purport that all the sufferings which people do, it is actually not the suffering of soul, it is just a covering, right? All the sufferings like anxiety, fear, and even circumstances, those are all material coverings. So we should never bother about that because that's never the nature of soul. Only for seva prad and nama prad, if some offenses we commit, that is at the level of soul, I guess. And that also doesn't give suffering, but it impedes the progress in devotional service. So is it safe to say that none of our sufferings are actually for soul?
Okay. not fully. In the sense, like I said, see the material sufferings, whatever is on the material platform, which is happening in connection with this material world, not connected to Krishna, can be, yeah. So till we come to a stage of complete surrender to Krishna, we might be going through some sufferings which are a result of our past karma, which are all connected to the body and the actions. Uh, yeah, and so it will be through the mind and body that those sufferings will come. They are not directly the sufferings of the soul, but because the soul is thinking or is so attached to the body and mind, it is also suffering in that illusion. Um, but when for those Nitya Siddha devotees also, those devotees who are with Krishna in the spiritual world, they also have anxiety. They also have suffering. Okay, which is all on the level of soul. Right now, this is something which is done by Yogamaya. Okay, so it is not like the suffering of this material world, which is, the result of Mahamaya, right? Yogamaya creates suffering, anxiety, pain, separation, all this, though there is no material
Hmm.
mind or body. So those are all on a different platform. But and even in this material world, for those pure devotees, pure souls who are might be suffering for whatever reason, but they're completely surrendered, pure. Their suffering is also not necessarily at the body of on the level of the body in the sense, um, for example, some great soul is suffering. That is just to show the world. Right now, that is not so much of the suffering of the body, as in of the through the body, in the sense that Krishna wants to glorify the devotee through the suffering that is undergoing, to show that okay, even in the midst of suffering, he or she is doing so much in service. Um, but yeah, material. So some are real sufferings of the body and mind on the material, completely material platform. On the completely spiritual platform, it is all connected to the soul. And in the interim, when we are here on the path to perfection, but pure, then Krishna might have different reasons why some sufferings might manifest in us, which to the normal people might look like suffering of the body, but which to the spiritually enlightened, they know that okay, this is just Krishna's mercy, and the person is actually not going through any suffering. So that can also be understood differently.
Yeah, yeah, I think I understand. So, uh, any spiritual master or any
Yeah,
acharya, if he is suffering through bodily
yeah,
sufferings, then that is something it is to give a message. But all the
yeah.
spiritual anxiety, fear, and like these things, these are actually not suffering because I think Prabhupada mentions in earlier uh, cantos, right, that that is basically something very similar to spiritual ecstasy, and it
Okay, we need to
is.
understand this. See, it's not that at that point of time the devotee is not suffering. Actually, the devotee is suffering. Okay, but that suffering actually results in an happiness which is much beyond, which is more than. I mean, that suffering is leading to happiness. So in that way, that suffering is not suffering,
Hmm.
right? But it's not some illusion, or it's not something that it's not real or anything like that. No, no, they are suffering. They're suffering, but that suffering is going to lead to happiness. And then when that happiness, when separation leads to union, union results in more suffering because of the fear of separation. So it's all part of ecstasy, but at the time when there is suffering, seems to be suffering. That's real. In the sense they actually explain the experience that pain.
Hmm.
We should not think that oh there is pain but they are happy inside. No, no, it's not like that. There is pain and there is pain only, but because that pain is part of the future happiness that is going to come by meeting Krishna, that pain is insignificant, or uh, the pain also is like gives happiness in the sense because it is in connection with Krishna. For example, Yashoda Mata is so anxious for Krishna. And you know that she's wanting Krishna to eat. Now when Krishna doesn't eat, she's actually like affected, and she's praying. She's asking Rohini, you tell. She's doing so much of planning for that. If it was not something real, real again, like I said, it is created by Yoga Maya, but it's really experienced as emotion, as loving emotion. Mm. So it's love, but it's not that it's happiness. It's pain which will give happiness. Yeah, it's difficult to understand a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, very clear. Thank you,
Okay.
bro.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Yeah,
Prabhu.
Chiranjeevi Prabhu. Yeah.
Can you also like describe little in detail about this Adhyatmika Klesha? And also, like just now you have told that Yashoda Maya's example. Yashoda Maya knows the relation with like her relation with Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, every jiva, like until they realize their relation with Krishna, how can they actually like experience the spiritual pain?
No, okay. Okay, good question. So which is why, so I'll answer the second question first. So the spiritual pain is realized when not, it doesn't have to happen only when we achieve perfection, or when we come to realization of our, uh, not that only after we achieve our Siddha Rupa or Swarupa Siddhi that we need to experience spiritual pain. We can experience spiritual pain before also, because of our dedication to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Right? Simple thing to understand. Say, we have just started process of constructing temple in Holy Mahu, and there is anxiety. Right now, this is not material anxiety because it is for Krishna, but doesn't mean that we've achieved Swarupa Siddhi. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it is material. So it's there. So we can experience pain. We can experience that anxiety. And some bit of that anxiety is also because of ignorance. And some bit is aspiring that something nice happens in the service of Krishna. So that also, because things are not under our control, we feel that anxiety. But it's for Krishna. It's not for us. Now, Adhyatmika Klesha, I mean, it's already known, right? As in, through the mind and body, we suffer based on our previous karma. Everything that is happening in our life, which is through the body and mind bringing us suffering, is the result of our past karma. That's all.
Adhyatmika means not spiritual, Prabhu.
No, no, no. Adhyatmika means our body and mind.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Okay. Then we'll stop. It's already 9. So we'll stop here. And yeah. So in all your WhatsApps, you'll start seeing Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Okay, so it's nothing for us. I just want to, for this, for records, it's of no relevance for us. But yeah, every day is special in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's moment. And so, as a way to outreach to people, we can, yeah, make every day significant. In that way, this day is also significant. Um, so, if somebody says Happy New Year, you say, yeah, wish you a very happy Krishna conscious year ahead. So, they'll get some. Mm, Happy New Year. Happiness is not in our hand. So we can make them a little bit Krishna conscious when they wish us. Uh, yeah, but no need for any celebration. Like I said, it's just another opportunity to serve Guru and Krishna. That's all. Mm, Can use these opportunities for outreach. Okay, so I'll end here. Uh, so we'll continue tomorrow. Krishna willing. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णव की जय समवेत गौरभक्तवृंद की जय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, just this thing.